I'm Diana Rosa, and I'm speaking to Jonathan Field, who lives in British Columbia and is the founder of Jonathan Field Horsemanship, inspired by horses. I love that you add that tag onto your name, onto your company, right? So fabulous, inspired by horses. So I want to start, Jonathan, by talking about you. I want to know about where that passion began and a little bit more about your career with horses.
Well, thanks for having me on, Dinah. I was lucky enough. I was born into a horse-loving family. I had horses as a young person. My mom was a keen dressage rider. That was her kind of an interest in hers. But also, they both actually rode horses to school in the prairies before they moved out to British Columbia. So it's been a passion and a part of our lives. And my dad was a working cowboy and a farrier at one time in his life. So as I grew up, horses were around, and I was lucky enough to have my first little horse, a little buckskin mare named Mite. Her full name was Wee Mite Buck, and she was the best first kid's horse you could have ever had.
Okay, so now we're going to move on a little bit. As you got older, what were some of the, those moments that were really special to you? Some of the awards you got or times you remember?
Some of the awards and the recognition in the industry has been wonderful, but, most of the time, the memories that come back the most are, on a horse somewhere out in the woods or doing something in the back in a warm-up pen somewhere, and what they offer you and, what they've done in my life. I always feel appreciation for the horse. Every time I put my leg over, I still feel like what an honor it is to be involved with horses and have them pack us around, and the work that I've done, whether it's at ranches or different places. The other day I was on my young horse, I was starting a young horse off of one of my older horses named Little. And, it reminded me of a story one of my old friends and mentors used to say. His name was Ronnie Willis. And he would just say, sometimes you can't tell where you stop and your horse begins. And I was riding Little, and we were playing with this young warm blood. And I would just look and turn and energy up and energy down. And Little was he was right in the middle of it with me. It was just that feeling of partnership. And it wasn't an unusual day, but it was it was one of those days where I go, I can't believe, this is such an amazing thing to have this partnership with a horse and have him be wanting and willing. And even the young horse was pushy a little bit. And you could see Little going, get your shoulder over, would you? Like it was obvious. Cool.
Those moments are really precious, because I know I love to ride on the trail and love to train horses on the trail. I don't ride anymore, but boy, that was my favorite thing. So I agree with you. It's not always the accolades. It's very often that personal one-on-one with the horse. So you actually have been working with Equine Affaire, and you're going to be at Equine Affaire this year. And I want to know the history of that. How long? Is this the first time? Have you done it for many years? Let's go into that a bit.
Well, I'm so excited, honored, to be invited back to the Equine Affaire. I've been there for many years now, throughout the years, on and off. We get invited back in, a year in or maybe out. I've been in the Pomona Equine Affaire years ago, obviously Ohio, and now Massachusetts. The show was wonderful. The people, all the staff, the volunteers, I've got to say, you go there, everybody makes you feel great. There's a camaraderie in amongst the clinicians. We're there to really help people, go home and have a better relationship with their horse, learn something. The people that come are keen. They've got notepads. They bring if it's cold, like maybe in Massachusetts this year, who knows? If it's cold, they bring their blankets, they bring their notepads, ask great questions. And for me, it's just 4 days of visiting, immersion with horses. And in this case, I get to go and meet. I'm not bringing my own horses. So we have some young horses. We have a couple really young, like weanling, yearling kind of level, to older horses that are starting a new life, new chapter. How do we go about that? And then just a variety of topics around bits and different things that are in seminars that I'm doing throughout the week or throughout the 4 days. And I'm going to be on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, actually, but the Equine Affaire is 4 days, and I'll be there on Thursday and enjoying and watching and learning myself.
Great, and I'll get to meet you in person.
That will be good.
All right, so I want you to get a little bit specific about what you are doing at Equine Affaire, because I kind of looked over what you were going to do, and I loved some of the things, like you were talking about young horses, starting them up, and then older horses, so it's different levels, different ages. So I think the people watching us now are going to want to know a little bit more so that they can save the time to make sure they come and watch you.
Well, I sure hope they do come and watch. I invite you guys to come. One of the things that I liked, years ago, I did a clinic series at the Equine Affaire, and we collaborated and talked about what would kind of people really enjoy. And we called it Foundation First. And it was about, like, if I was at home with a horse, what would I do with that horse? And so I went through the time with a couple of different horses. So we wanted to do something similar. It was so much value to people. But this time, instead of using the same horse, we took horses at really different levels. The really young one, I picked 2 for that clinic, where we're going to have, how do we get started with the young horse, the weanling, the yearling, the 2-year-old. And I think I've got a yearling and a 2-year-old coming, or maybe just a weanling in there. And I'm going to play with it each for about a half an hour. And then we've got another older horse. It's an off-track thoroughbred. And I believe that's the horse that we've selected. And that's about restarting into a new life. Lots of times if they've had discipline-specific training, or maybe there's some holes in their start, they're herd bound, or they're bucking, or they're cinchy, or they're scared of everything. How do you go about kind of a fresh start, like restart things? Where are the holes? So I'm going to take that horse and ask questions about the history, but mostly show the audience, like, this is the things that I would check with any horse. And then if we find a hole, we find, a cinchy area, or something to do with, a brace in the body, or they can't take a right lead or left lead or something, we'll work that out, or start anyways. And then the older horse, like, I'm always fascinated with horses that change careers, whether they were a racehorse at one time, or a cart horse, or a reiner, or a horse that's going to, be a cutter, then a trail ride horse. So we've got a horse lined up that's just kind of in a career change, and we're looking forward to seeing, I don't know the horses, so I just see a little video of them. I'm like, I think we could benefit from lessons with this horse. The owner normally writes kind of a nice letter to say, this is what I want, this is what's happening, this is the horse's history. And then I meet the horse just like everybody in the audience. And I really encourage people to follow that journey. They're all different horses. One of the horses might go through 2 clinics, but you will see a progression throughout the entire time that I'm there. So, and then I've got another seminar, which is without a horse, and that's learning all about bits, fitting bits, understanding which bit to pick, why, how are they impacted, how it fits for the horse's tongue and the palate and the bars, and all the things around selecting a bit.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm sold. All right. Now, some of the people watching may not know anything about horses. So I want you to reach out to those people and tell you why even training a horse, even if that's not something that they're doing, can benefit them.
Well, I think any person that loves horses is going to enjoy not just what I'm doing, just kind of behaviorally seeing and learning about these horses as I learn about them and then handle them, but the entire Equine Affaire experience. There's so much that you can take in, and so many of these things are applicable to communication, to leadership, to other areas in our life. When we're talking about relationship, talking about communication with horses, I find it, like, in myself, whether my son plays hockey and I watch coaching and different things that happen, and I learn so much from people that are great in their field. And Equine Affaire is full of there's just an assembly of these people that are all specialized, and they all have talent to communicate what they do. And I think if people just have even a little spark, or a big spark, or an inferno flame in their heart for horses, this is the place to be.
That's a great answer, and I totally agree with you. I know that I ran a riding school for many years, and I used to have a crew, and what they benefited from the first time being around horses, and then what they grew into, really made them better adults, kids and adults as they were growing up. So I think that's fabulous. Also, the fact that it's not just the clinicians. There's a ton of stuff happening there. They can buy things, they can watch things, so they can be busy from morning till night. So,
and the Fantasia show, the nighttime show. I mean, that is an amazing production. And as a horseman who has participated in these types of shows before, I go as a spectator myself. I've got tickets lined up. I'm going to go watch and, sit in the stands and see all these amazing things in the evening show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Well, Jonathan, I want to thank you for chatting with me. Do you have any last words you'd like to say?
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting you there. And for all you guys watching, please come say hi. I'll have a booth there. We've got those clinics. Come follow along. And it's a really great place for families, for people that are interested in horses. And there's a ton of shopping, which there is some amazing craftswomen around that event. So I'll be doing the same.
Okay, and if they want to learn more about you, what's your website?
jonathanfieldhorsemanship.com. So
well, fabulous. I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person, but also watching some of what you do. So thank you very much for joining me. And I'm Diana DeRosa, reporting for the Equus Television Network.